Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the golf podcast that interviews the best and brightest minds in the golf industry. Now, here's your host, Bernard Sheridan.
Mike, welcome to Breaking Par. Thanks so much for being with us. And tell us a little bit about your company. But first, before you do that, tell us about how you actually got involved in golf to begin with.
Yeah, great, Bernard. Thanks a lot for having us, by the way. We always enjoy doing podcasts and talking about our products. So my story getting involved in golf is actually, I think, a unique one as far as how a lot of golf professionals get started. I was actually working on a doctorate in saxophone performance at Arizona State University. So music pedagogy, music performance side. We had a crazy year where one of our professors left and our committees got dissolved. And then in that time, I'd always played golf. I was a low handicap through college and I always really loved the game. Took a few golf lessons, though, for the first time, like around that point in my life, and realized very quickly that even though I had almost 12 years of collegiate education in the music world, I was still charging $40 an hour for golf lessons, and I was paying $100 for golf lessons for, in many ways, somebody that had very little training, I think, in how to actually coach, how to teach, how to really combine and look at a detailed, comprehensive lesson program for what I wanted. So I kind of looked at that as an opportunity and kind of went into the golf business and never looked back. And then we've gone into a lot of other areas of that business now, especially now with super speed golf, and really looking at, in very close detail how to help players increase power and efficiency of their golf swing.
Sure. So is the main thing that you do is instruct golf? Is that your main thing? And then the company is kind of like a secondary thing, or was an offspring of that?
I think you just said it. I mean, primarily, I'm a PGA professional, been a coach for many years now. Have worked with a lot of fun players, pretty much across the spectrum from amateurs to professionals, and love doing that. And that was Kyle and Shay, my business partner. That was our primary business for a long time. A company called Catalyst Golf Performance in the Chicago area. We still have 2 academies in Chicago where we do a lot of coaching. However, super speed golf came about, as some things that we found out in the industry, really through some of our connection with the Titleist Performance Institute, that were just some training, tactics. I would say that we're seeing some big results with clients. And we just took that and spurred it off into a new company and really tried to brand it well and make it as easy and simple as possible for the public to get their hands on this new type of training called overload underload training, which we now call overspeed training. We can talk about that later, but really to figure out a way to get everybody and get this out to the masses, because it's really going to work for almost everybody. And at this point now, I would say it's at least a 80-20 on the side of working with super speed golf primarily, and then we coach some professional players, have some other clients that we've had for a long time, and we certainly still do that. Enjoy doing that, but we're spending an awful lot of time talking about super speed golf nowadays.
So how did you guys come up with the idea, and really what was the process when you did come up with the idea that you had to go through to kind of start producing this as a product for the public?
Right. So a lot of the background science comes on a concept called overload underload training. It was actually kind of interesting. They started talking a little bit about it during the World Series this last year. We were in Chicago, so we were watching every game. But they were talking about some of the pitchers using different weighted balls to warm up, and that's kind of some of the basic concepts. So it came from pitching in Major League Baseball. Before that, it was in a lot of other track and field sports, javelin throwing, hammer throwing, where you use and slightly alter the different weights that you're using. Even before that, with running sports, just changing inclines to change resistance of how somebody can obviously run faster downhill than they can uphill because there's less resistance. So that's kind of the concept. And we said, well, there's a lot of good science out there. We know the concept is solid. How do we adapt this for swinging sports, in this instance golf, and how do we help people increase club speed using this process? And that spurred us into about a 2-year process of looking at a whole bunch of stuff on 3D motion capture and the kinematics of what went on when we used these different weighted clubs, looking at a whole lot of things on TrackMan and seeing what kind of results we were getting with our clients, building a whole bunch of prototype clubs going from a side of even starting out when we were thinking about having players hit balls while they were doing this, I actually found out that doesn't work very well at all. And we've seen some other studies that have proven that now too, that the swings by themselves are a lot better. And then we just kind of continued to refine that over the course of that. I would say it took us about 8 to 9 months to get to kind of prototype phase, and then we had about a year's worth of working with the prototypes and really looking at a lot of detailed research on what was going to work the best. And then we spent the rest of the time before we launched just trying to make the process simple. I mean, it's why our system's color-coded, and we have very easy-to-follow videos on the website. We always found that people are going to do stuff if it's easy for them, and if they go and start doing this overspeed training that we've put out there with Super Speed Golf, they're going to get results, and then that's kind of a happy customer in our eyes.
Sure. So there's been all different types of products out there that are where they have like weighted clubs, or you add weight to a club, like the old O-ring that they put on a baseball bat and on a golf club. So how does this product differ, and is it heavier than a golf club, or is it lighter than a golf club, or explain some of that information to us?
Yeah, it's actually both. And before I get into some of those specs, I have a great story for you on that whole like baseball donut area. We just launched our baseball products. We're calling those Super Speed Slugger. The same concept for baseball. Our first big campaign there was called Death to Donuts. Okay, so one of the things that we know definitively at this point is that just using heavy stuff doesn't work. It will not help you swing faster to swing something that's heavier. It doesn't work for baseball players either. We have a great clip on our website where we did a little interview with Gregg Rhodes from the Untitled Performance Institute, actually at a baseball conference in California. And they did a study out at TPI where they had players, swing 2 bats to warm up or put a big heavy donut on warm up. They actually found that those baseball players lost 30% speed on their first swing out of the gate after doing that training, and usually took them 3 to 4 swings before they would regain their normal bat speed. I mean, in baseball, you're already out by that point. So that doesn't work at all for what we see a lot of still happening in Major League Baseball. On the golf side, we found that there were just some more specifics that we needed. So on the pitching systems, the baseball pitching systems are usually about a ball that's somewhere around 20 or 30% lighter than the normal baseball, one that's usually about the same weight as the baseball, and one that's usually about 20 or 30% heavier. So we found that actually is too much of a range when we start to deal with the golf swing. Main reason for that is we're swinging a 45-inch club, and there's a lot of that weight's down toward the end of the club, so the resistance level changes a lot. So what we found was optimal to use overspeed training for the golf swing was a club that was about 20% lighter than the driver, one that was about 10% lighter than the driver, and then one that was just about 5% heavier than the player's driver. And during the training protocols, that player's actually swinging those clubs a lot faster than their normal swing all the time. So, I mean, at least 10% faster than they normally would swing their golf club when they're hitting a ball. They're going to be swinging every single swing through the training where we're going. So that's kind of where we came up with that term overspeed training, meaning that you're going to actually be training while you're swinging and moving the body faster than normal, and that helps reset some of the neuromuscular patterns in your body, which then help you, gain a permanent increase in club speed.
So now, is that due to really fast twitch muscles, or is it due more to core muscles?
I'd actually say it's not really due to muscles necessarily at all. Now, I would say there's been some research, and we're looking into some more EMG studies that are out there where we could actually tell what percentage of fast twitch fibers are firing versus normal muscle fire. Kyle would actually be able to talk about that a little bit more. He's more on the health and physio side of that. But what I would say is this: it's not a physical training system. It's not a strength training system. We're not trying to make the body stronger. Although that's a good thing if somebody wants to make their body stronger. What we're doing is we're actually taking the motor pattern of the golf swing, which is it's all a neurological process, right? It's like a computer program written in your brain, and we're able to, with this overspeed training, actually create a faster neuromuscular response in the body to that same motor pattern. So essentially, we're just increasing the processor speed of the computer a little bit for their golf swing, where we're helping the body sequence and move faster when you pull the trigger to make a golf swing.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting, and it's a way that essentially, when you look at all swing trainers that have come before, they might have done some of that, but they're not really looking at trying to produce that. They're either trying to strengthen the player, or have them swing something heavy, so that then now all of a sudden they pick up something lighter and they feel like they can swing it faster.
And what happens there is they feel like that implement is lighter. Their body's actually moving slower. And we've done tons of testing on that. And it's absolutely proven at this point that if you grab something heavy and you swing it a few times, you're basically doing the opposite of what we're talking about with overspeed training, right? Because it's so much heavier. Now, when you're running that program in your brain neurologically, your body's responding slower. Okay, it's got to move a lot more weight, so every piece of that neuromuscular cycle is going to go slower. Now, when you pick up a lighter implement, it's going to feel a lot lighter to you, but your body's actually going to still respond in that slower mode. We call it neuromuscular flash memory, and there's a certain amount of time where something like that is going to actually cause that effect right after you do it. And with our training system, and over time, usually we see that take about 4 to 8 weeks of regular practice for that to actually become a permanent change in the actual normal response speed of that motor pattern. We look at it kind of like when in your car, right? You've got a governor on the car engine a lot of times in production vehicles that you wouldn't have on like a race car, right? So like if that car gets to a certain point, a certain number of RPMs, that engine basically blocks it from going any faster. Well, your brain works a similar way with your body, and it's there to protect ourselves from hurting ourselves and all kinds of other things that might come up. But just about every player that you see is actually capable of moving a lot faster and moving a lot faster safely than their body normally does. So what we're doing is we just found a way to kind of take the governor off the engine a little bit and help people realize some more of the potential that they already have.
That's very interesting. So with the product, does the product, now you said that there's different weights. So I'm assuming, because I've yet to see the product in person, but I'm assuming that when you purchase the product, you're purchasing is it like an interchangeable weight? Is it one club, or is it 3 clubs, or 3 separate or 4 separate clubs that you purchase, and then you're using them in conjunction with one another to actually build this speed? And then once you build this speed, should you continue to do it, or is it once it's built, it's built? I mean, talk to me about that.
Okay, so a couple questions in there. I'll start. You stop me if I'm rambling on. But basically, the first thing there, yes, it's a 3-club training system. So all of the systems are 3 clubs. One's about 20% lighter than the driver, one 10% lighter, one about 5% heavier. And that can be, we have all kinds of different sets based on the weight of that player's driver. The men's set's based around kind of a standard men's weight driver. We have one that's an ultralight set for your like senior players or women. We have junior sets. We have actually down to like 5 to 7-year-old sets. So
do they, when you weigh them, are they weighed like clubs are weighed, like a D1 or a D2, or?
It's not swing weight. So when you hear D1, D2, that's swing weight. So that's actually more of the balance of the club.
Okay.
So that's how much weight distribution is down toward the head from the top. We're talking about overall weight of the club, which is the primary factor that's going to influence how that club, how heavy that club actually is, and how that's going to affect your body's ability to move it. Our clubs will have slightly heavier swing weights actually than a normal golf club, and that's also on purpose. That changes the resistance cycle just a little bit and helps us get better results. So that's the first part of that. I think that's important. We did for a while, and I've had plenty of requests as well for players that could get it down to 1 club that had interchangeable weights. We tried it, and honestly, the biggest issue was, number one, we want people to be able to go through the training in a fairly quick way. Our training sessions only take about 10 to 12 minutes to go through, and we think that's a good thing because it means people are actually going to do it, because it doesn't take that long to go through the training. It's easy and done. So when we had the weights that were interchangeable, it was people were fiddling with them. Not everybody could do it right, or we had weights that got on and weren't fully secured. So there's just a whole myriad of issues that were with trying to do it on 1 club and change the weights. And for simplicity's sake, and I think that's important, we're big fans of simplicity. simplicity's sake, we made 3 clubs, just it's easier to pick the next one up and go through the training, and it keeps that moving a lot faster.
Yeah, so then that way they're not taking the same club, pulling out a weight kit, taking off the weight, putting it away,
Right.
putting a new weight on. This way they can pull it out, swing it, put it back. Pull out the next one, swing it, put it back. I mean, and I'm
Exactly.
assuming
And
that
for
that's the
everybody
way
out
that
there
they should do it, correct?
Exactly, and for everybody out there that's already used our system before, they'll all attest that going through that 10-minute training session is pretty intense. It's not a long training session, but it's kind of like a sprint. There's a lot of activity in a short amount of time. Most people are pretty tired after that 10 minutes. We wanted to make sure that that's there, and if you haven't tried it yet, that first session, just be ready. Make sure you're warmed up, and make sure you have some water ready, because you're going to be tired after that first 10 minutes.
So, and the normal training session with these clubs are between 10 to 12 minutes?
Exactly. And we have actually 2 years of different training protocols built on our website that are free access for everybody that purchases the system. Actually, you can go on and access them before you purchase the system if you want to check it out and see exactly what you're able to do with this. But the first one, just involves taking golf swings in just your normal golf stance position, both on the dominant side and on the non-dominant side, which is something we find that is very beneficial for players that almost nobody does.
Yeah.
So we've got that session. Then we use another drill called our step change of direction drill, which just involves a little bit more. It's a sequencing and ground force drill, but that's our first protocol. It's basically you're going to take 3 swings on your dominant side, then 3 swings on the non-dominant side with the light club. Then you're going to do the same thing with the medium, and then with the slightly heavy club. Then you're going to go to that step change of direction drill, and same thing. Some dominant side swings, non-dominant moving through the cycle, and you're done. We add kneeling swings later on. We on full-on like running start swings in our later protocols. We have some other really cool protocols in the more advanced level for people that have been using the system for over a year, where we really have to start to add in some more, I would say, rigorous type drills to get future jumps in speed. And I'll explain how our periodization training cycle works. But there's some really cool stuff there that really works on some very advanced biomechanics in an extremely simple way, where all you have to do is swing the club, make the end of it move as fast as you can, with no other coaching, instruction, or trying to figure out how to do all these weird mechanical moves. Just do that, and you're going to get a whole lot of results biomechanically and increases in efficiency in your golf swing.
Now, on average, for the average player, let's say the average mid-handicapper who wants to build more speed, what is the results on average that you see an increase in speed with the average player?
See about a 5% increase across the board. And honestly, we haven't seen any differences with beginners, amateurs, seniors, tour players. We have 250 players on the PGA Tour and European PGA Tour working with this set right now. And about the same, around 5% is the initial jump that we'll see. And we'll see that happen pretty much right away. Like after about 1 or 2 training sessions, we usually see that 5% jump. And then what will happen is it takes about 4 to 8 weeks for that to become permanent. So in your first session, you might see a 5-mile-an-hour jump, and then 45 minutes later, you're kind of back down toward your normal club speed again. And that's just the way this type of training works. You have to do it consistently for, again, about 4 to 8 weeks to get that to become a permanent change. Now, that isn't like every day, though. We want 3 times a week with a day off in between. So you're looking at a total investment of about a half hour a week, with those 3 training sessions. And then that'll get you to what we call the first plateau phase. So like a lot of other types of physical training, it doesn't work in gradual increase. It usually works in jumps and plateaus. So you'll get that 5% increase, and then you'll level off for a while. And usually that level off or plateau phase is between usually about 4 weeks to 6 weeks of plateau time. That's usually around the time we'll jump into one of our more advanced protocols. Like we'll move that player into the level 2 protocol, and then usually we'll see another about 5% jump at that point. So these players that have continued to work with it now for a while haven't just stopped at that first gain. We'll see these other jumps. I've got a great case study from a tour player in Australia that started working with the system. He started around 106 miles an hour club speed. His initial jump went up to about 113. It took him about 2 months or so for that to become permanent. He then actually trained for another few weeks, took about 3 months off, came back, trained for another month and a half and moved into that next protocol, and then jumped up into the 118, 119 range, and that's kind of where he's stayed now for about the last 6 months. So we're expecting there to be additional jumps capable down the road, but we definitely know that those first two happen with just about everybody that touches the system.
And that's a significant jump. I mean, that really is. I mean, when you're talking about, I mean, like some of these guys now are going to have to buy a whole new set of clubs or have their clubs reshafted due to the fact that they're moving from like, let's say, a regular flex or a stiff flex to an extra stiff flex.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would say, I mean, I know more detail on just a lot of the tour players that have worked with it, but I mean, our tour guys, I mean, I would say after 2-3 months of using this, almost every single one of them have retooled their equipment to match up to those new ways that their body are moving. Clint, the Australian tour player I was talking about, I mean, he went to a point where he's now got like a 3-iron back in the bag where he couldn't hit that before because he just didn't have enough ball speed to get the thing up in the air. But, I mean, we're talking he went from carrying the ball 265, 270 to carrying the ball 300 yards in the matter of 9 months. And, I mean, that's a huge difference, especially when you're doing that competitively. For amateur golfers, I mean, heck, 5% club speed could mean 10 to 20 yards more off the tee. That's a whole, that's an extra club into the green, right? I mean, that's hitting 9-iron instead of 8-iron, and also it's going to go through the bag there too, where you're actually going to hit your 5 and 6-iron further than you were hitting, those clubs before. So it kind of is this full scale. It goes the whole way down through the player's bag. That helps them with, they get more spin, they get more compression, they end up with, more height on their iron shots, all those kind of things, depending on what that player lacks from a performance standpoint in their golf game. All of those different areas can improve with this.
So, are there like super speed in the works now? Because I know that the product that you have now can produce so much. So are you guys working on another product that's going to go for the next level? So like once you do level 1, level 2, like you were saying, mm-hmm. Will you produce a product that for those players who are tacking out now at like 118, 119 and want to get to 125, and would they still be able to do that with this product, or would they have to use something else, or would it be the exact same thing?
So, I mean, obviously our wheels are always turning on ways we can make this stuff better, and we're constantly putting stuff out on social media and on our website. We're doing as much as we can to kind of connect with the community of people that are using our products, and there's a lot of them now. I would say this, there's no plans right now to make another version of the Super Speed Golf Set. We feel like, we've done a pretty good job there as far as optimizing the way overspeed training is going to work for the golf swing. The thing that we're continuing to produce for everybody that has it, so once you buy the system, you have access to all this stuff forever, is we're continuing to develop new training protocols, more advanced training protocols. I mean, over the last 2.5 years that we've had the product out, we started with just 2 protocols, and now we've added all of our level 2 protocols. Now we've added all of our level 3 protocols. So as we get more research and data in from all the players that are using it, and seeing what's working with our players and how to help them the best way, we're releasing and producing those videos so that everybody else can use it. I will say this though, we are extremely careful with all of the stuff that is on our website is heavily vetted, that we know that this stuff is going to work. We know that this stuff, isn't going to hurt people, that it's all stuff that is very, very heavily researched on exactly why we're doing those protocols that way. So when you do pick up this system, it's really important, follow the instructions that we have there online. We've spent a ton of time making sure that those are the best way possible to use this stuff.
Awesome. That's awesome stuff. So how long has the product been out now?
We launched at the TPI World Golf Fitness Summit in October of 2014. So we've been out for about 2.5 years. And
what are the results? And I mean, not to ask what pure sales are, but I'm sure that it's pretty good if you're doing, if you're constantly involved with it.
Oh yeah, we're having a great time. I mean, everything's going really well. I mean, our social media following is in the tens of thousands now. So we've built all of that organically over the last few years. We have actually now distribution, and these sets are being sold in about 20 different countries around the world. which is really exciting for us. And then, I mean, just our kind of traction that we're getting with the players on tour around the world is huge. We just hit that. We like to kind of hit our little milestone numbers. We just hit about 250 tour players working with this, and that we're just including PGA, European PGA Champions Tour, and Web.com, and LPGA. We have another, we have hundreds more mini tour players all over the world using this as well. So one of the things that we like to look at that, I mean, when you see the best players in the world doing something and using it on a regular basis, it really is something that is going to help everybody. They're looking for every little detail and every way they can get another couple % edge on the competition because they're doing this for a living. If it's something that they feel strongly about and strongly about on a wide scale like this, it's really something that's going to be beneficial for everybody.
So how can our listeners get the product? Can they purchase this product retail, like from their golf retailer, or will they go online to purchase the product? What's the best way for them to purchase it?
Yeah, so we sell direct to consumer on our website, so superspeedgolf.com, and then there's all kinds of all of our different products are listed there in our web store. We also have accounts with just about, I would say 400 or 500, smaller green grass golf shops all around the country. So, there's a good likelihood that a lot of their clubs or their country clubs are starting to stock these and have them. We don't have accounts in all of the big box retailers yet. One of the reasons for that is we really like to educate the golf professionals and coaches that are selling our products to the clients, and we really want to make sure that people know exactly how to use it when they do pick it up. So that's a great way. And then online, we've tried to be very careful with having a lot of different instructional videos and everything else that come with it. So using this the right way, just like anything else, is paramount to success.
Sure, absolutely, because it's only beneficial if you do it in the way it's instructed. If you don't, then you're not going to get as quality results.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for taking the time of being with us and talking about Super Speed Golf, and I'm sure that once our listeners are out there hear about it, they'll definitely check you guys out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Bernard, thanks a lot for having us. I mean, we're always, like I said, excited to do these type of things. We love talking about this product. We have so much data and research on it. So, yeah, for sure. Anytime you need us, let us know.
Great. Awesome. Thanks again. And until we meet again, try to keep it in the short grass.
All right, we will.
All right, take care.
Are you tired of hitting poor shots and shooting high scores? Wouldn't it be nice to make solid, consistent contact more often? Hit more fairways off the tee and more greens with your approach shots. Lower your 3 putts per round and shoot lower scores consistently. Lessons with Bernard Sheridan at Impact Zone Golf at Tiburon Golf Club in Naples is the fastest way to lower your scores and start making the game fun again. Call 239-236-5536 and schedule your lesson today. Remember, if you improve your impact, you improve your game. It's that simple.